Good morning, my dear students. I'm going to explain the passive voice. The passive voice, mainly for grades 11 and 12. First of all, let me write two sentences to recognize the difference, or to recognize what do we mean by the word passive. Okay? When I say, for example, Dana watches TV, okay, and when I write the lesson is written, first let me ask you a question. Who watches TV? Logically, you're going to tell me that Dana watches TV. She's the doer of the action, so she's the subject of the sentence, so that we call this sentence active sentence. But when I say the lesson is written, who writes the lesson? Nobody is writing the lesson, so this is a passive sentence. This is the difference between an active and passive sentence. An active sentence begins with subject, verb, object, subject, verb, object. But to change it into passive, you have to follow this. You have to begin by the object of the sentence, and then you have to change the main verb into verb 3, and you have to add or to use verb to be. So in order to change it into passive sentence, you have to follow this rule. You have to add object in addition to verb to be, in addition to verb 3. Completely different from an active sentence. An active sentence, as we said, begins with a subject, a verb, and object. Okay? So, we use usually verb to be according to the tense of the sentence. If the sentence is present, you have to use am, is, or are. If the sentence is past, so you have to use was or were. If it is, for example, includes one of the modal verbs, you have to add the modal. By the modal verbs, I mean can, could, will, would, should, and so on. Okay, so you have to keep the modal as it is, will, can, whatever, and then you have to use be. If it is continuous, present or past, you have to use being. If it is perfect, present or past, you have to use been. So to change again into passive, you have to follow this rule. You have to begin with the subject, verb to be, you have to begin with the object, verb to be, and then verb 3. As we said before, that verb to be should be used according to the tense of the main sentence. Present is are, past was were, be, being, been, according to the tense of the sentence. Let me give you examples. Okay, when I say, for example, my mother cooks the food, and you're asked to change the sentence into passive. As I told you before, you have to specify, okay, the subject. So the subject of the sentence is my mother, and then the verb is cooks, the object is the food. So we have to begin the food, okay, and we have to look carefully at the verb. You have to identify the tense of the sentence. Here the sentence is in the present form. So as I told you, if it is present, you have to use am, is, are, according to the new subject of the sentence, or according to the object that we add at the beginning of the sentence. So here the food is singular, you have to add is. After that, you have to change the main verb into verb 3, cooks, remove the s, and then let it be cooked. Okay, if it is, for example, my mother cooked the food. Again, we are going to follow the same procedures. You have to begin with the object, okay? And then you have to use the verb into verb 3, and between them you have to use verb to be according to the tense of the sentence. Let me do it with you. We are going to begin with the word food, or the food, and then here, concentrate, this is ed, it means the sentence is in the past form, so here you have to add was or were. So here we are going to add was because food is singular, and then cooked, let it be verb 3. If it is, for example, my mother will cook the food. Remember, I told you if the sentence includes one of the modal verbs, you have to use be. So here also, again, we're going to begin with the word the food. Okay, and we have to add the modal as it is, followed by the word be. And you have to change the main verb into verb 3. It will be cooked. Remember, object, verb to be, verb 3 with the modals, verb to be should be. Okay, and then let me continue the main tenses. If it is my mother has cooked, my mother has cooked the food. Okay, again we are going to begin with the object. I think you have been aware of the main procedure that you should follow. We are going to begin by the word the food. Then you have here has plus verb 3. It means you have a perfect sentence. You're going to keep has as it is, verb 3 as it is. Simply between them you have to use the word been. Okay? If it is my mother is cooking the food. Again, we are going to begin with the object, the food. Okay, here, pay attention. Is cooking, it means continuous, present continuous tense. You have to add is as it is. Cross the ing, change the verb into verb 3. It will be cooked. Here, you have to use the word being. So we have explained all the tenses and how can you change them into passive form. Okay, still only a very important example you have to pay attention to. It's a very important example, so please pay attention to it. When I say the listen, okay, let me erase this. When I say, for example, Mona should have handed the report. And you're asked to change this form into passive voice. How can you do that? The same procedure you're going to follow. Here we have the subject Mona, but we do not have only one verb or two, we have 3 verbs. We have the word should, have, handed, okay? And then we have the object. In order to change into passive, you have to begin with the word the report. What about should and have? Put them as they are. Keep should, keep have as it is. So it will be the report should, and then have. Again, you're going to keep verb 3 as it is. But you have to add before verb 3 the word been. Okay, pay attention to that, please. Okay, if you're going to change into passive, a form like this should have a verb 3, would have verb 3, might have verb 3. You have to follow the same procedure. Okay, I wish you have understood the rule. You have to practice in order to be able to solve it well in the exam. Thanks a lot.